first. Got a couple questions. Oh, your team's got to be fired up. What was your message to them before they came out?
This is our house. We got to treat all opponents the same. Got to start fast and finish strong.
With the amount of different formations and movement that Southeastern's going to give you, what's the key on defense today?
There's going to be adjustments. They're going to give us something new. We have the best defensive coordinator in the world.
Kevin, thank you. Anish Shroff alongside Ray Bentley and Roddy Jones. LSU received the opening kickoff, facing a third down against Southeastern Louisiana. The Tigers, the talk of college football after the Week 1 win against Miami. On third down, Joe Burrow, the grad transfer from Ohio State, will take off and run. And he is tripped up well shy of the first down marker. So LSU offensively going 3 and out.
Yeah, great coverage in the secondary there. Burrow had plenty of time, but nowhere to throw the football. Ends up having to scramble, and give these Lions a little credit. They came out blitzing a little bit here early on, and they got a 3 and out to start. Southeastern Louisiana, an FCS school from Hammond, Louisiana, about 45 miles away. They are the Lions. Zach Von Rosenberg to punt it away. And the Indiana transfer Devontae Williams makes a fair catch. Quarterback for Southeastern, Chasen Virgil, big-time recruit coming out of high school. He was playing in Mesquite, Texas, originally committed to Mississippi State, ended up going to Fresno State, started 14 games there, lost his job early last year, and then in December transferred to Southeastern Louisiana. But Ray, he's a 4-star quarterback coming out of high school, had offers from Clemson and Oklahoma and Auburn and Texas, amongst others. And he plays like it. I mean, he played really well against ULM in their opening heartbreaking loss. He's got the ability to run with the football. I like his 3-step game. He's extremely accurate, and he's best when it breaks down, which it kind of does with this offensive line on occasion.
Here is Devontae Williams, taken down by Jacob Phillips, who had a pick 6 last week. No gain, second down. Impact players, right, brought to you by Chick-fil-A.
Yeah, and you have number 5, Juwan Petit-Ferrer. They want to get him 10 to 12 touches throughout the game. Devontae Williams, we just saw more of a receiver out of the backfield. Braden Fehoko is going to be key to this game. He's going to line up on that center, and they think they have a good matchup. And Grant Delpit, number 9, watch for him coming off the edge all night.
Pressure up the middle, and Virgil able to thread the needle for a first down. It's Marquise Williams, his first catch of the season, a gain of 15.
Yeah, and that's what I'm talking about with Virgil, the strength of his arm, the accuracy. If he gets time today, I'm looking for him to have a nice afternoon.
A big point of emphasis for the LSU coaches was focus. You're up against an FCS opponent. Short week of prep coming off the big Miami win. Auburn a week from today. This is your classic overlook game, and they want to see a strong effort as we get a flag.
Illegal substitution against the offense. 12 men in the formation. 5-yard penalty. First down.
Yeah, and that's key to go back to what you were saying, Anish. They have to, I guess, be different is what Dave Aranda, the defensive coordinator, told us. If you're an LSU fan, you know they have a history of stumbling around in some of these games. And he quoted us some stats against the SEC powerhouses. They gave up under 300 yards a game in the last couple years. Against others, over 350. So they got to get their mind right and play this game like it's a big one like it was last week.
Jawan Petit-Ferrer in motion, 5 and green. Virgil under pressure. He's got room to run. And with a nice pickup to set up a second down and manageable, Jason Virgil using his legs. They told us they didn't want to run him too much given who the opponent is.
Right, you don't want to get him beat up because Southland Conference play is right around the corner. But I'm impressed with the start by this offensive line, which, to be frank, struggled last week against ULM. So this was going to be a huge test for him. So far, so good.
Lorenzo Nunez now comes in at quarterback. Former South Carolina Gamecock. He'll line up all over. Nunez will keep it. Flag down, and Nunez subdued in the backfield by Devin White, one of the best linebackers in America.
And it's not going to count because I think they're going to get the Lions on an illegal procedure. Actually, it looked like an illegal formation to me.
Illegal formation against the offense. More than 4 players in the backfield. That penalty is declined. Third down.
Yeah, they had no one on the end of the line at the bottom of the screen on the left side, and those are the kind of things that hurt them.
A referee tonight, James Carter. Third down, 6 to go. Opening drive for Southeastern Louisiana. Jason Virgil back into the game for the Lions. Nunez in at wide receiver now. Out of the backfield, Darren Johnson. And Johnson appears to have the first down, and a big third down conversion for Southeastern.
And that was one of their favorite plays last week. The running back Devontae Williams had 6 catches and Johnson had 1. And what they'll do is just try to quickly expand to the edge. They have a great horizontal passing game, in large part because Virgil's so accurate. Those guys can catch it in their full stride and not have to slow down.
Virgil taken down by Rashard Lawrence. That's going to be the challenge for Southeastern Louisiana. How do you block LSU's front 7?
And it was a weird play. Half the guys didn't move. I don't know if they figured it was going to be a dead ball or what, because nobody blocked Lawrence. And believe me, that's a guy you want to block.
Interesting talking to Dave Aranda, LSU's defensive coordinator. He said preparing schematically for this offense harder than preparing for Miami.
Yeah, they have about a quarter of the calls that they had in last week for Miami, and the reason is there's so many things that they do.
A little more exotic with the looks early on. Southeastern Louisiana, a little momentum in Death Valley. You're watching the SEC on ESPN. We are in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. Death Valley. LSU coming off that big win against Miami, but they were a little banged up in that game. Roddy Jones with an injury update.
And Ace, you're exactly right. They were. The biggest loss being number 4, Kaylavon Chasen, who many people thought was going to be the heir apparent to Arden Key, the fire breather off the edge. But they're also missing their other outside linebacker, number 45, Michael Divinity. And on offense, they're missing Adrian McGee, the starting right tackle, as well as a number of other losses. So we'll see how many guys LSU rolls against this fast-paced Southeast Louisiana offense.
Jason Virgil under pressure, and Lawrence
Actually, that's Braden Fehoko getting into the backfield to throw him down. 91, the transfer from Texas Tech.
And this is a blown protection, and I think it was on Jarius Gooch, the left guard, as everyone else went right, he went left, and that opened up a huge hole for Fehoko, who doesn't need that kind of help. He can get there on his own. That time they let him go free.
3rd and 27.
They're in that Peso defense. 2 linemen, 4 linebackers.
Southeastern Louisiana decides to run with Darren Johnson. LSU saying the ball came out. Tigers say they have it, and they do.
And it's a case of Johnson just fighting for extra yards. And then in this day and age, guys are taught to rip the football out. And who else but Devin White is the guy who pulled that thing away. And the Tigers got on it, and they've got their first big break of the game.
This is a defense that looked the part of a championship defense last Sunday against Miami. 2 tight ends, Brosette in the backfield. Play action. Burrow looking long. Incomplete, intended for Justin Jefferson, who was Joe Burrow's top target against the Hurricanes.
I love it. They take a shot. Steve Ensminger, the new offensive coordinator this year, said they're going to throw the ball around the yard a little bit. You get a big turnover, take a shot downtown, see if you can make it happen. Burrow just led that thing outside a hair too much. But this was the kind of throw I was really impressed by him against Miami. Throwing it down the field along the sidelines, dropping fades in there.
The numbers didn't stand out against Miami, but he got his team into a lot of right play calls, made a lot of changes at the line. Pressure coming. That one complete to the freshman Jamar Chase. And a first down for LSU. We wondered, against an opponent that is overmatched from a talent standpoint, if LSU would open up its passing game a little more.
Yeah, I have the feeling they will, and it looks like that's the deal this drive as they go into a hurry-up mode.
Now Brosette runs into a roadblock right at the line of scrimmage. Isaac Adame Berglund, who had 10 tackles in Southeastern's opener with the stop.
And this defense is getting off the ball pretty quick. I'm impressed with the way they're playing right now. And I guarantee you, these kids have never been higher and more intense and ready to go. Will it wear out? Usually does.
Southeastern in week 1 lost to Louisiana Monroe, an FBS school, and that was a game where the Lions had a chance to win. They had the lead until the final minute, and then had a game-time field goal attempt blocked. Burrow to Brosette out of the backfield, tiptoes the sideline for a nice pickup. It'll set up a 1st and goal for LSU.
And Nick Brosette, he shook Adame Berglund in space, and that's a matchup that the Lions kind of liked and thought they'd have a good one, but not right there. Bad angle from Berglund.
Burrow gets rid of it quickly. He's got Chase reaching into the end zone. Touchdown, Tigers. Well, Ray, last week, he might have had one had it been reviewed. This week, he's got one.
His first as a Tiger, and really you got to give all the credit to Jamar Chase. He broke another tackle, a bad angle from Dijon Lynch, and that opened it up. But I'm impressed again with Burrow's accuracy and knowing where to go with the football. He had a blitz coming and went to his check down and made it work.
The PAT by Cole Tracy is good. It started with a turnover. LSU capitalizing on the short field. The freshman, Jamar Chase, in for 6.
ESPN College Football, brought to you by Tide. If it's got to be clean, it's got to be Tide. And AT&T, more for your thing. That's our thing.
Roddy Jones getting a little sampling of the Cajun cooking at the tailgate.
I got to get a gig like that.
What'd you have, Roddy?
Oh, man, I had wings, potato salad. I'll tell you what, man, I don't think I've ever been anywhere where they do tailgating like they do here in Baton Rouge. It was fantastic.
Avery Atkins boots this one out of the end zone, and Southeastern will start at the 25-yard line. Let's check in with Chris Cotter in the studio. That is a Pac-12 versus Big Ten game now.
Right? And it didn't feel that way, apparently. Not for Nebraska.
A couple of old Big Ten rivals.
Offense. 5-yard penalty. First down.
We saw this happen to LSU last week.
Right, they changed the rules, so now as soon as that kickoff is blown dead, the 40-second clock starts. And we've seen it several times. LSU, it cost them 2 timeouts in the first quarter last week. They practiced it in order to get on the field in time.
Brought in by one hand by Branson Schwabel. It's a gain of 4, second down and 6 for Southeastern Louisiana, which has a new head coach. First-year man Frank Selfo came over after serving as an assistant at UTSA, Texas San Antonio.
Frank's been around the game forever, and you know, we had a great talk with him. He's animated, he's enthusiastic, and he's home. He came back home to Louisiana, and he's more happy about that than just about anybody I've seen.
Fehoko got Williams in a bear hug and then threw him to the ground for a loss of 5. This LSU defensive line is doing what it wants.
Well, they may want to block him. I mean, this is twice now where they've totally turned him loose. And I guarantee you, he was the #1 guy on their target list as defensive lineman. We got to block that guy. We got to double team him. And now they're non-teaming him at all. They're letting him have a field day out there.
Dave Aranda told us that he felt LSU's biggest advantage was over center.
Right. He thought he had a matchup there, but he also thought they might block that guy.
Virgil has to throw it away on 3rd down. And it looked like Southeastern on its first drive had a little momentum, picked up a couple of first downs, then the turnover. LSU scores a 3-and-out, and the Tigers going to get it right back.
11 plays so far for these Lions, and 5 of them had ended up in losses. That's not a very good ratio.
Jonathan Giles will return the kick. Ivy Wall to punt it away for Southeastern Louisiana. High snap. Line drive kick. Takes a bounce near the 45. Giles picks it up. Across midfield and out of bounds in Southeastern Louisiana territory. A 42-yard punt, a 22-yard return. The Tigers will begin in Lions territory. LSU's quarterback is Joe Burrow, graduate transfer from Ohio State. Tom Herman actually recruited him to Columbus. He spent 3 years with the Buckeyes, redshirted his first year, backed up J.T. Barrett the last 2 years. Did not win the starting job after spring ball. Dwayne Haskins won it for Ohio State, so he transferred to LSU as a graduate transfer, eligible to play right away. 2 years of eligibility, and the son of a coach, his dad, the longtime defensive coordinator for Frank Solich at Ohio. Burrow, play action, has time, floats one to his tight end, and that is Foster Moreau, who wears that number 18 jersey, a prestigious honor. It's given to the player who most epitomizes LSU football, a tradition that started with Matt Mount during that 2003 championship season.
Yeah, and Foster Moreau was beside himself to receive that honor. They're in a text group together, all the former number 18s, and he kind of sent them all a long text, and they welcomed him aboard.
Clyde Edwards-Helaire. He picks up a couple. Second down coming up for LSU. New offensive coordinator for the Tigers this year. Matt Canada was the guy last year. That experiment did not work. He and Ed Orgeron did not mesh. So Orgeron promoted tight ends coach Steve Ensminger, who was the acting OC when Orgeron was the interim head coach.
Right, and Coach Orgeron said, hey, I made a mistake. I went out and got the hottest name that was out there, and it didn't work out. So we went back into the old basket and picked out Steve Ensminger, who was very successful with him 2 years ago.
Play action again. Burrow rolling out. Throws on the run. Incomplete. Broken up that time by Dijon Lynch, the junior from L.A.
Burrow was a little late with that throw. That's a timing throw, a comeback route deep on the outside. He needed to let that ball go before the receiver made the break, and he didn't. And because he was late, that allowed Lynch to come up and break it up. But that's one of the few times Burrow has been late. And as watching him against Miami and so far here today, his timing in terms of getting the ball out has been immaculate until then.
Last week, the victim of a couple of drops and missed routes.
Also had 4 throwaways, so 11 to 24 really wasn't indicative.
He will run for the first down, and it'll be 1st and goal LSU, a gain of 13.
And that's the thing that Burrow can do. He's a dual threat guy, and then doesn't mean they're going to run him a whole lot, but what it does mean is when it breaks down, he can make somebody miss and then go get some. And I'm sure they want him to slide, but he's a football player.
Edwards-Helaire trying to squeak through, got maybe a yard. The Purdue transfer, Fred Brown, on the stop. Ray, you look at the composition of Southeastern Louisiana. Heavy on transfers, both FBS guys and JUCO guys.
Yeah, and that's how the way a lot of FCS rosters are built. And the reason is when guys transfer out of FBS, they don't have to sit out a year. So they want to play ball. And they end up at these schools, and it ends up good for everybody.
2 tight ends. Edwards-Helaire. Turned back shy of the goal line. It'll set up a 3rd and goal. Kyle Neville's on the stop, who did not play last week.
Yeah, and Matt Wright, the safety, who did play last week and had 16 tackles.
Tigers looking to go quickly. Burrow keeps it into the end zone. His first touchdown as a Tiger.
Another great decision by Joe Burrow. This is a read all the way. The guy who was supposed to have him, Tamarcus Russell, overcommitted to the inside. Burrow took it, found his seam, and hit the pay dirt.
Cole Tracy for the PAT. The graduate transfer from Division II Assumption College in Worcester, Massachusetts. Hits the extra point. Joe Burrow's thrown a TD. Now he finds the end zone for himself for the first time as an LSU Tiger. This season, Taco Bell celebrates student sections and passionate fans like these by awarding the best student section of the year. The LSU Tigers student section is already on the national watch list. Go to ESPN.com/Taco Bell to see how your school can compete.
They got them ranked yet?
They should be.
Right.
Football team jumped up 14 spots in the AP poll after the win against Miami. Next Saturday on ABC, it's a top 20 matchup between number 4 Ohio State and number 16 TCU. That's at Jerry's World over in Arlington, Texas. Buckeyes today annihilating Rutgers. TCU with a 30-point win Friday night against SMU.
I like these big early matchups. You really get to find out about teams a little bit more.
What did we find out about LSU after that Week 1 win against Miami? Are you drinking the Kool-Aid?
I'm sipping it, okay? And it tastes pretty good because that defense flies around, and I think they've got something in Joe Burrow. Don't know that they have the tailback that they're used to having around here, but boy, do they have talent, young talent at receiver. There's no real holes in this team, and Cole Tracy added to the special teams. Now they're solid. In fact, Coach O told us it gives us a little polish.
A gain of 6 by Darren Johnson. We'll find out about LSU next week when the Tigers take on Auburn, and that is a road game.
And the home team has won 16 of the last 18 in those matchups.
Virgil under pressure, taken down by Neil Farrell. Another sack, and most of the sacks, in fact all 3, have come from the defensive line.
Yeah, and they're just beating people, and then they're not getting blocked. And this is a case of really, he didn't get blocked, and Virgil ran right into him.
13 offensive plays for Southeastern Louisiana, Roddy. 8.
And guys, there was some confusion on that LSU defense, so if there were some blocks up front, I think Virgil may have been able to find an open receiver.
You're right. Devin White took off like a shot and ended up covering the widest receiver.
4-man rush, and down goes Virgil again.
And that's a loop stunt by Ray Thornton. And they'll pin the inside guard, and Thornton from the outside linebacker spot loops in over the middle and gets home. Gets upfield, good penetration. There's nobody home to pick him up. Another sack for this Tiger defense.
And Thornton will see more playing time with the injuries to Divinity and Calebon Chason.
But they're so deep, you know, they just plug the next guy in. These guys are so big, strong, fast, athletic. It would be fun to coach an outfit like this.
Ivy Wall to punt. Giles waiting back at his 45.
Came after it.
Takes a few hops. Giles from the 40. And he is tripped up right there. A 47-yard punt. You can stream college football all season long on ESPN Plus. Start your free trial today by downloading the ESPN app or visiting ESPNplus.com. Already 14-0 LSU. Ed Ogeron's message to his team: start fast, finish fast. Got off to a little bit of a slow start against Miami. Picked up steam late in that first quarter, and then they didn't like the way they ended that game, allowing Miami to make a little run late.
Right, and a little bit of a letdown is understanding, and Miami's got a lot of pride. You know, they finished that game as hard as they could, but that's something they want to correct.
Burrow will run again. Bounces off a tackler and finally dropped by the ankles after a 9-yard pickup.
Well, he took a shot from Kyle Nevels that spun him around like a tornado. And he's not a slider, apparently. He's trying to get every inch he can. Watch him get spun around at the end of that thing. And, boy, you don't want him taking too many hits like that.
In a game like this, when you only have 2 scholarship quarterbacks on your roster, that's the last thing you want, an injury to a critical position.
Without a doubt. They might get in his ear and say, practice your slide here.
Here is Nick Brossette. Hammerheads up the middle for a first down. Brossette last week, a career day. 22 carries, 125 yards, 2 touchdowns. In fact, he eclipsed his production from all of last year.
You know, he's been behind some pretty good running backs. You know, Leonard Fournette and Darrell Williams and a couple other guys that just, it's hard to get off the bench when you got All-Americans in front of you. But he played really well. What he did most impressive to me was his pickup in the pass protection. He was outstanding.
A flag is down.
False start. Offense, number 74. 5-yard penalty. First down.
That's the right tackle, Badara Traore, getting the start for the injured Adrian McGee. Roddy told you earlier, McGee is going to be out about 2 to 3 weeks.
Yeah, and you'll see him, he's the right tackle there, and he moved them hands a little quick before the snap to get himself moving.
And that is the end of the first quarter.
Quarter number 1 comes to an end here in Death Valley. LSU using their defense. They've gotten to the quarterback. 4 sacks. They forced a turnover. Joe Burrow 2 touchdowns. He's thrown for 1, and he's run for another. From Death Valley, it is the SEC on ESPN. LSU playing on short rest. The Tigers played Sunday against Miami. Extra rest for Southeastern Louisiana. They played last Thursday, so had last weekend off. Start of the second quarter, and there is Stephon Sullivan, the big 6'6" wide receiver who rumbles down to the 35, a gain of 15.
And I believe that was a sight adjust by Joe Burrow. He saw the corner off like he was, so he's going, I'm going to get it out there quick and let my big guy run.
LSU toyed with moving Sullivan to tight end during camp, but Ed Orgeron came away with the feeling that now he wants to be a wide receiver.
And 6'7", 235 pounds. Sounds like a wide receiver.
Brosette breaks a tackle and plunges across the 30. Another first down.
You know what? I'm going to start drinking the Brosette Kool-Aid. I was a little skeptical early on just because his big plays were so well blocked that anybody really could have run those. But the more I watch him, he's an excellent short yardage runner. He's one of the best I've seen at the college level in pass protection, and he's showing me some things with the run.
You know, Ray, I like him. He may not be the freakish athlete that some of the guys before him were, but he's got a great feel for the game.
I agree.
Brosette gets it again. And able to pick up a couple on first down. Now, this was the first time in a long time where that bona fide, surefire NFL prospect, at least at the outset, did not exist in the backfield for LSU. The running game has never been a question, at least in recent years for the Tigers. It was coming into this season.
It was a big question, and I think Nick Brosette answered it, and they also have a lot of really good young backs. And odds are pretty good one of those youngsters will rise up and be that guy.
Double tight end set here on 2nd and 8.
And corners are off. I bet Burrow goes out to him again.
And Burrow looked like he changed the play. He did that well against Miami. Brosette bouncing to the outside. And Brosette torpedoes ahead for 7. It'll bring up a 3rd and 1. Matthew Wright, the junior college transfer who had 16 tackles against ULM with the stop.
What'd you think of that cut, Roddy? Nice move outside, started inside, lured him in, and busted to the edge.
I loved it. You press the line of scrimmage as a running back to let that stuff sort itself out. Then just a slight bump, going to the next hole and the next hole, and then exploding through. Again, he's not the freakish athlete, but he's got great vision.
And instincts.
Brosette on 3rd down. Has the first down. And churns his way all the way to the 11-yard line. There is a flag down at the 20.
And we've seen Burrow change the play a couple of times. What they do when they huddle up, they'll call 2 plays in the huddle. And if he doesn't like the first one they called, he'll change it to the second.
Holding. Offense number 78. 10-yard penalty from the previous spot. 3rd down.
They got Garrett Brumfeld, the left guard. A couple of lineup changes on the offensive line. We told you about Adrian McGee being out. He's the starting right tackle. So Badara Traore starting at right tackle. And then at left tackle, no Sadiq Charles today. We're told he's out. So Austin Deculus getting the start at left tackle. So both starting tackles gone. And don't forget, Ed Ingram, the starting right guard, is suspended.
Yeah, so if you do a little bit of math here, you've got 3 backups starting with this offensive line here today.
Burrow on 3rd down. Pressure coming. And Joe Burrow is down. And this will set up a 4th down. The sack by Adame Berglund. And we're going to get to see Cole Tracy, Division II transfer from Assumption College in Worcester, Massachusetts. Worcester is spelled W-O-R-C-E-S-T-E-R.
I just moved into that area, and I was calling it Worcester for a little while until I got corrected.
Tracy 4 for 4 in the opener, including a 54-yarder. This is a 50-yarder.
He was 27 of 29 on field goals last year and 4 for 4 in the opener. And he keeps rolling.
As they say in Worcester, that was wicked far.
They do say that.
Cole Tracy drills it from 50. He's 5 for 5 as a Tiger. Cole Tracy just hit a 50-yard field goal to make it 17-0. In pregame today, he bombed one from 62, and he was routinely clearing the crossbar from 55 plus at the indoor facility, granted, when I was at practice on Thursday.
Yeah, and they thought that was his limit when he bounced the 54-yarder off the crossbar for a good one last week. Apparently, he's found some more range.
Week 1 of the NFL starts in earnest tomorrow, and you can get started at 10 a.m. on ESPN with Sunday NFL Countdown. Sam Ponder, Rex Ryan, Charles Woodson, Matt Hasselback, Randy Moss, Morton Shefty, all back. We'll preview the breaking stories, injury updates, give you the snapshot on each team leading right up to kickoff.
That's where I get my information, right there.
Southeastern Louisiana looking to jumpstart this offense, down 17. Chasen Virgil finding Jawan Petit-Ferrer. That's his top target. 5 catches, 148 yards, 2 TDs last week, and he's also the best kick returner in the FCS.
And he's the guy Dave Aranda talked to us about, who concerned him more than anything else. As you see the numbers, of almost 50% negative plays thus far for this Lions offense. However, that last one was not. Had a good block on the edge by the receiver, C.J. Turner, and busted it open.
Lorenzo Nunez in at quarterback. Not much running room, but he does get enough for a first down. And they will use Nunez in the old slash Cordell Stewart role. Mr. Everything, running back, receiver, QB. He is their best athlete.
Yeah, he threw 2 passes last week, ran 4 times, and had 3 catches. And they want to get him even more involved as this season goes on. He was their starting quarterback last year, and it was the newcomer of the year in the Southland Conference.
Nunez now in at wide receiver. Virgil back at quarterback. Incomplete, intended for C.J. Turner, covered by the freshman Kelvin Joseph.
And they're going to get Joseph. He never got his eyes back around and made contact before the ball got there.
Pass interference. Defense number 1. The ball will be placed in the spot of the foul. Automatic first down.
Joseph, only a freshman, top 35 recruit, but Dave Aranda spoke very highly of him, saying he might be the most talented DB on this roster.
Yeah, and I'll tell you what, with those skills, those physical skills, and then the coaching of Dave Aranda, he's only going to get better.
Incomplete. Joseph on Turner again. Second down.
Great coverage by Turner that time. He just cut, great coverage by Joseph on Turner that time. He just cut off the route. Turner ran into him like 2 or 3 times.
Southeastern playing without one of its top receivers. Austin Mitchell is injured and is not in the lineup.
He got poked in the eye, which is always a scary thing.
Another flag.
False start. Offense number 74. 5-yard penalty. Second down.
That's Jarius Gooch. Now you can't get behind the chains against LSU.
No, because it opens up the menu for Dave Aranda. He can pick and choose what he wants to do and bring some heat.
Another penalty marker.
Well, Fehoko jumped at the nose, but I think they're going to get the Lions on at the right tackle.
Looked like 71 Beverly.
Yeah.
False start. Offense number 76. 5-yard penalty. Second down.
So now 2nd and 20 against an LSU defense that has 4 sacks with 10 minutes plus to go in the first half.
Yeah,
Correction to
they
fouls
called it
on number
on Strickland.
71.
I don't think he did it. He's looking around like, why are they picking on me? And Strickland's usually the right tackle, and they said he's their best offensive lineman. They moved him into guard to shore things up.
Virgil flushed. Incomplete as we get a studio update from Chris Cotter.
Rogers' pass is incomplete. Intended for Devontae Williams, number 1.
Dabo Sweeney will not call it a quarterback controversy. It's a quarterback competition, and it's ongoing.
Sounds controversial to me.
Virgil on 3rd down, far sideline, dangerous pass. Greedy Williams had a read on it. It's ruled incomplete, but boy, you're late to the sideline with Greedy Williams, who had 6 picks. That's a pick 6.
Yeah, he wasn't greedy enough on that one, but it was awful close. And it looked to me like Jackson's out of bounds when he makes that catch. Yeah, the left foot is on the line, so it would have been a penalty had he gotten back in bounds because he stepped out prior to that. You can't be the first one to touch it, but because he was out, it's incomplete.
And instead, 4th down, LSU will get the ball back. Ivy Wall on to punt, and Giles the deep man for the Tigers. This one bounces, and it will be LSU ball as it's down at the 30. 2nd meeting all time, 1st since 1949 between these two.
ESPN College Football, brought to you by Audi.
Looking at the championship teams of the past for LSU, the last one in 2007.
You told me
right
an interesting.
Before we went to break, now we were talking in the break on that punt. Did it hit an LSU player? If it did, and Southeastern covered it up, the Lions would have had the ball, but they looked at it and it did not hit an LSU player. So it will be Tiger ball at the 30, 1st and 10. Play action pass. Burrow stepping up. And he is going to be subdued. Isaac Adame Berglund and Mike Mason were there. It's a loss of 9. Sets up a 2nd and 19.
And when I cut on the tape to watch Southeastern, number 91 jumped out. I mean, he was a man. He was pushing people all over the field. He's good out in space, and he can get after the quarterback, as you just saw.
Sophomore from Nova Scotia in Canada. Edwards-Helaire into the game on 2nd and long. Four-man pressure. Burrow hit as he throws it. And that might be a live ball.
Should be.
It is a live ball, and the Lions have it. Adame Berglund again, knocking it out.
Yeah, but that one's on Joe Burrow. He held that ball way too long. You got to have a clock in your head. And, you know, this is only his 2nd game in the last 4 years. He never, other than mop-up duties. So maybe that clock's a little rusty, a little slow, because he held it way too long.
That's a great point. While at Ohio State, he didn't really play in any meaningful snaps, and he told us yesterday the last time he played meaningful snaps prior to last Sunday, state championship game as a high school senior.
Yeah, back in, what, 2015, I think it was? 2014, actually.
So they will look at that last play.
Guys, I like the adjustment that LSU made, though. They put the back to the same size as Adame Berglund to try and chip, and that's why Burrow had so much time. Man, Adame Berglund was breathing fire off the edge trying to come around, but that chip gave him a little bit more time. Ray, I thought that was a great point that you made about that clock not going off for Joe Burrow. We've seen it go off a couple of times where he would tuck it and run. Not sure why he didn't do it there.
Yeah, he got greedy. Let's see if that arm's going forward. If it's coming forward at all, no, that's an incomplete pass. All that arm has to do is start just the smallest amount of forward motion, and it becomes a pass. So I think this will be an incomplete pass, and the LSU offense will stay on the field.
When LSU goes back to the film room, what's the lesson here for Joe Burrow?
Got to make a quick decision, whether it be to take off and run, which was there. I mean, I think he had a little room up the middle, and the other option is throw it away, but you can't stand back there. And that was, I didn't put a count on it, but it was at least 4 seconds, and that's too long.
Frank Selfo, the head coach for Southeastern Louisiana. Lions play in Hammond, which is only about 45 miles east of here.
And he said he loves it. He's home.
Of Louisiana, he said this was coming home.
They have a thing there called Selfies with Selfo. He says everywhere he goes, people are jumping over in front of him and taking pictures of himself with him, and he loves it.
He's trying to get this Southeastern Louisiana program going again. They were in the FCS playoffs in 2013 and 14, and Selfo has a reputation for developing quarterbacks. At Tulane, he tutored the likes of Sean King and J.P. Lossman and Patrick Ramsey. Coached Blake Bortles with the Jaguars. At Arizona, Nick Foles, Tom Savage.
He's a bit of a quarterback whisperer. Although he doesn't whisper much. He said, we asked him what he did with those guys. He said, I yell at them a lot. Which I believe he was kidding. Yeah, my opinion on this one was incomplete pass. We'll see if the officials agree with me.
LSU,
After
the best
review,
in the country.
the passer's hand was going forward when he tried to complete the pass. Therefore, the pass is incomplete. The third down, 17.
LSU last year, one of the best in the country at protecting the football. Only 8 turnovers all season.
That's a remarkable number, and that's how they got to 9 wins, because they were 3-2 at one point, and the wheels had come off, and they had a players-only team meeting to try and get things situated after they lost to Troy. They went on to win 6 of their last 7, and in large parts because they took such good care of the football and played great defense.
And they'll keep it here after the ruling on the field was reversed. It's still 3rd and 17. LSU needs to get to its own 40.
That's where the kitchen sink comes.
Here's the blitz. Burrow has to get rid of it. 4th down. That was close to intentional grounding, but Edwards-Helaire appeared to be in the area code.
Yeah, this is a 0 blitz. They bring 6, and it's Zeke Walker who is the beneficiary of all the action. Nobody picked him up, and Burrow had to just throw it into the ground.
Louis Chofie, the defensive coordinator, first time calling plays, first time as a coordinator for Southeastern, told us he's got some exotic blitz packages, and he needs a passing down on 3rd down to deploy them.
That's when he said he'll throw the sink out, and he sinked them that time.
This one rolls out of bounds near the 45, so Southeastern will have some pretty good starting field position with 8:33 to go in this first half. Lions still looking for points.
The College Football Playoff lives on ESPN.
And the diminishing daylight of Baton Rouge. LSU with a 17-0 lead on Southeastern Louisiana. The Lions began playing football in 1930, discontinued the program after the '85 season, restarted in 2003 with the air raid godfather Hal Mumme, and then reached the FCS playoffs in 2013 and 14. Darren Johnson out of the backfield, tackled from behind near midfield. Stop made by Jacob Phillips.
And that's been the best play for the Lions tonight. That flare out to the back. He makes somebody miss, breaks a tackle, and they've averaged at least 5+ yards every time they've done that.
And the matchups are much more favorable on the perimeter. They're just overmatched up front, so those quick passes out there, maybe you can make a guy miss, Ray, like you said, and get those 5 yards.
It's worth a shot.
Nunez under pressure and sacked. Grant Delpit on the safety blitz.
They overloaded that side, and nobody saw Delpit come off the edge. That's a huge part of Dave Aranda's offense, or excuse me, defense. But it seems like offense the way they play it sometimes. They're so aggressive. But he loves to bring that. It's called the quarter position in his scheme. And Delpit could be a linebacker. He could be a deep safety. He could be locked up on a slot guy. He's very versatile and allows Aranda to do a lot of things with him.
They compare him to Jamal Adams' top 10 pick a couple of years ago. Virgil's pass incomplete, 4th down.
Looked like Virgil rushed that one, and who could blame him? He's been under duress all night, but his feet weren't set. His base was too wide, and when you get that ball's going to end up in the ground on you. Look at Dave Aranda. He was a joy to talk to, and he lit the room up. He was talking about red bananas and crazy things like that, and we'll tell you more about that as we go, but he was a lot of fun. Sharp guy.
Highest paid coordinator in college football.
And you commented a couple times, and I agree with you. He's got the air of a guy who can run a program.
Giles retreating, calls for the fair catch at the 9-yard line. A 50-yard punt by Ivy Wall. It's 17-0 Tigers. Wow, could it happen? Kings and Dogs out of the East. No picnic.
No.
Nick Brosette. He's got a 1st down, a gain of about 11.
And that schedule, that is as tough as it gets right there. And you saw the FPI numbers. FPI was not impressed with the win over Miami as much as everybody else was.
And to Ed Ogeron's credit, he was not ready to jump right in and declare that this program was back. He said, we're not sure how good we are. We're not sure how good Miami is.
Right. So we're going to have to play the games and wait and see.
Back to the ground. Brosette. Another nice pickup. Give him 12 more. Matthew Wright the stop. And Nick Brosette now.
Great block by Traore. Watch the right tackle, 74. He sees the blitz, picks it up. You could have driven a truck through that hole for the first 5 yards.
Yeah, Brosette halfway to the century mark. Burrow will throw. He's got Jefferson. A gain of 5, 2nd down.
Guys, I really like the play calling coming out on this drive. Southeastern Louisiana was able to get some pressure on Joe Burrow on the last drive. So what do? You come out, run the ball twice, and then a rhythm rock back throw to get a little confidence to your quarterback.
I was impressed with Ensminger last week, too. I think the guy's half a genius calling plays.
3rd down and short after another run by Brosette.
Try the right side. Near the 40.
And Burrow getting everyone to the line quickly.
Wants to catch him off guard with the personnel that's in the game currently.
Back to Brosette for a 1st down.
And they're having a lot of success running the ball on the right side of that offensive line.
And Steve Ensminger told us he'll use tempo, not all the time. He'll pick his spots to deploy it.
Right, and he also, he said, we're going to pass the ball a lot more now. Situations will dictate what is the defense giving you, but they want to have that ability. If somebody packs the box, they want to be able to throw the ball around the yard.
Burrow's got time, finds Jefferson, flag is down, and Jefferson spun down at the 39 of Southeastern.
That might be a hands to the face. One of the Lions lost their helmet, and I think it was ripped off.
Holding. Offense number 74. 10-yard penalty from the previous spot. First down.
That is Badara Traore. Had a couple of different junior college stops before LSU, starting for the injured Adrian McGee at right tackle.
See him up at the top of your screen, and he did. It was a hands to the face as much as it was holding.
So instead of a first down in Lions territory, it's now 1st and 20.
This is a good opportunity for Coach Ensminger to try and figure out a way to pick up 20 yards in 3 downs.
Burrow with time on a 2 tight end set, goes to the sideline. And Terrace Marshall, the freshman, LSU's top incoming recruit, gets 8 back.
And they were in max protection. Only 2 receivers went out in routes. And Burrow has forever on this thing. You see both tight ends stay in and block, and the back. He's got all day, and his feet got a little bit happy there because there was nobody open, but he only had 2 options. He finally found one.
Burrow steps up, zings it over the middle and through the hands of his intended target. That was Marshall again, 3rd and 12.
And he stared that one down, and that allowed the safety, Thorns, to come up and be a part of it. And also Lynch got in there and jacked him up. So that one's on Burrow. So we got a player down here.
Southeastern player is down at the 45-yard line.
Both of these teams told us that getting out of this game in good health was a priority, as Braylon Thorns is the injured Lion. For Southeastern Louisiana, you're punching up in weight class. They play an 11-game schedule. The next 9 games are all Southland Conference games. That's what matters to them. And for LSU, you've got Auburn next week.
Right. So it's a big game for both of them, but it also, in the big scheme of things, in the goals that they want to achieve, at least for Southeastern, it's almost irrelevant. They'd love to come in here and pull an upset and all those things. Whereas LSU, they've got to keep their train rolling. They've got to take the momentum from that Miami victory last Sunday and roll it into tonight here. And so far, so good in that regard.
3rd down and 12. Brosette, nice block in the backfield. That is incomplete. Zeke Walker looked like he came down with it, but out of bounds, so it's 4th down. And LSU will have to punt in the second quarter. The Tigers only have a field goal.
Yeah, and Joe Burrow was late with this throw and stared it down again. He's slipping into some bad habits right now. And one of the reasons, I think, is they're leaving a lot of guys in to protect. And so there's only 2 guys going out, and Southeastern's covering those guys up. I think with that blitzing that Coach Chofie, the defensive coordinator for Southeastern, is doing is affecting LSU.
Devontae Williams, fair catch. And it's made inside the 20 as we check in again with Chris.
19-yard line, 1st and 10. Southeastern at the line 19.
All right, Chris, you go get one protein shake. You got 4:14 to go until we come to you.
And make it a double.
Now Chris will. Quick slant. That is Jackson. Niger Jackson, who transferred from Merced College, a junior college out in California.
And Joseph was playing off one of the few times tonight they haven't pressed the outside receivers, and Southeastern saw that, took advantage of it. Nice throw by Virgil. The timing was perfect.
2nd and 2. Williams, nothing there. 3rd down, and boy, if Southeastern Louisiana can get points or even take this score to the locker room, I think you've got to be a little frustrated if you're LSU, because you got out to a big lead. You used the short field, but when you've had to work the whole field against an overmatched opponent, it hasn't been there. 3rd down, and somehow Williams sneaks across for a first.
Great effort by Williams. I mean, that was just a whole lot of wanting to right there, because there wasn't a lot available to him. This thing is jammed up pretty good. You see Devin White get up in there, and he got hit behind the line, but he was able to keep the legs going and pick it up.
Virgil has time. A rarity tonight. And it's dropped by Jackson.
Virgil's pass intended for Jackson, incomplete.
Sunday Night Baseball takes us to Fenway. Finale of a big 3-game set between the Red Sox and Astros. Dallas Keuchel, Rick Porcello, the pitching matchups. That's 2 of the last 3 American League Cy Young Award winners. Sox have cooled off a bit after winning at a historical clip for most of the year.
I live up in that area, and boy, everywhere you go, you hear about it. That and the Patriots, of course.
We get a whistle.
And there was still 5 seconds on the play clock, so it's not delay.
The previous play is being reviewed for targeting.
And that this year can be called from the booth, and then they can stop the play if they think they see a targeting penalty and take the time to take a look at it. It's the hit on the quarterback that they're going to review.
Looking for forcible contact to the head or neck area, or if a player
or the crown of the helmet
makes forcible contact and leads with the crown of his helmet.
Let's see what we got. Ooh. It looked like targeting to me.
Jacob Phillips coming in.
Almost a flyby thing, but yeah.
A quarterback in the act of throwing the ball is a defenseless player. That satisfies one of the criteria for targeting, and Phillips comes in. Is that forcible contact
without a
above
doubt
the shoulders?
to me? Yeah, that's kind of the definition right there. And you know, Manny Diaz made some interesting comments after the game against LSU last week, because they lost a player for targeting, which I thought was a tough call, you know. And he thinks you need levels of targeting, so that if a guy gets in a situation where it wasn't intentional, you know, a runner or the defenseless player drops low and all of a sudden you're head to head, maybe there should be a 15-yard penalty rather than an ejection. And in my book, that one was targeting clearly. We'll see what the officials say, but people err on the side of calling
After
it now.
review, number 6 targeted the quarterback. Personal foul. Penalty. Automatic first down. Number 6 by rule is disqualified.
So Phillips ejected, and that means LSU now down 3 linebackers. No Jacob Phillips. Calebon Chason out for the season after getting hurt last week. And Michael Divinity not playing today due to an injury.
Yeah, and that depth is going to be tested now. Now they do have Patrick Queen, who has split some time and played a lot. He's been one of the guys out there, and then they have a couple of freshmen, Baskerville and Damone Clark. We'll see which one of those guys they go with.
Lorenzo Nunez powers to midfield. Because the ejection happened in the first half, Jacob Phillips will be ejected and has to miss the rest of this game, but he can come back and start next week against Auburn. Southeastern Louisiana lost its starting linebacker, Sean Clavel, for the first half of this game because of a second half targeting last week. As Williams takes it to the 46 of LSU with 2:20 to go in this opening half.
And it's Micah Baskerville who made that tackle, and he's the one who has come in now and replaced Jacob Phillips after the ejection.
Baskerville, 23 in white.
True freshman.
Nunez changing directions and able to pick up a first down. So Southeastern Louisiana has a little something here late in the first half, down 17-0. Oh boy, they score points here. It changes the tenor of this ball game.
Hope is a powerful thing, and I think they have a little right now.
And guys, this is the tempo that Southeastern Louisiana typically goes at. The game plan coming in from offensive coordinator Greg Stevens was to slow it down and shorten the game. But they like to do this up-tempo stuff, and with 1:40 left in the first half, they're going to have to go fast.
Virgil now at quarterback. Nearly intercepted. Devin White all over Nunez, second down.
And I think Virgil saw White at the last second and pulled the string, because had he thrown a strike, that would have hit White between the 4 and the 0. You see that middle linebacker coming across, and Virgil saw him just a little bit late, as his first option wasn't there either.
Devin White led the SEC in tackles per game last year. A projected first-round pick.
And if he is, it won't be by accident. He's the hardest worker as you'll get.
That is Jackson. Tackled immediately by Greedy Williams. The clock stops with 1:26 to go.
And I like the play call again. Getting it out to the edge, moving the pocket so that Virgil isn't running for his life. And they've got a nice little drive going.
3rd and 5, and this might be 4-down territory. Southeastern Louisiana had issues in the kicking game last week. Virgil dropped the snap under duress. Screen pass. Johnson engulfed back near midfield. And it brings up a 4th and long. Ray Thornton all over it.
That one was doomed from the start. LSU brought a big blitz. First time I've seen them bring that many tonight. And
Timeout.
Virgil wasn't
LSU.
looking. But Rashard Lawrence was. He came through one of those untouched again.
LSU calls a timeout with 1:10 to go, and that's a huge momentum swing. Now Southeastern Louisiana, a huge underdog, almost a 40-point underdog in this game, and you know what you're up against. Death Valley, Tiger Stadium, a night game. LSU coming off that big win, a championship caliber defense. Even if you get a field goal there, it gives you something to feel good about. Instead, you're going to give it right back to LSU, and if the Tigers score, that could be the proverbial dagger.
Yeah, that's what they have to avoid right here. At the very least, hold them to a field goal, and you can still feel good about yourself. If they run down the field on you in the last minute and 10 and bump it up to a 24-0 lead, that's going to take a toll on your will.
Ivy Wall will punt it away. Jonathan Giles waits at his 8-yard line. Low snap. Bounce at the 15, another at the 10. And Wall with a terrific punt, pinning LSU inside its own 5-yard line.
This LSU defense has been outstanding tonight. They've had so many free runners getting after the quarterback. And it's been easy in a couple of situations, but it hasn't diminished to me their ability to get it done. You see them, they did just keep coming. You saw Fehoko unblocked a couple of times. Farrell had one.
The flip side is the offense hasn't done much in the second quarter against a team that gave up 554 yards of total offense in week 1.
Great point. And when we talked to Louis Chofie, the defensive coordinator of Southeastern, he said, hey, we expect to improve the most between week 1 and week 2, and that includes
illegal
me.
Substitution.
He was
against the defense, 12 players in the formation, 5-yard penalty. First down.
He was really hard on himself and fessed up to making a couple of mistakes. Now, this is his first college experience. He's been in the NFL for a long time, and there's a learning curve.
1st and 5, a little more breathing room for LSU after the penalty. Brosette has some room. He picks up a first down at the 18, give him 9. Brosette, 66 yards on the ground in this first half. Clock continues to run. LSU has 2 timeouts. Burrow to the air. Dropped by Morrow. Good coverage to Marcus Russell, who had 20 tackles last week, was there to knock it away.
Yeah, he was all over the field and made a nice play there. And the great proximity to the receiver gave him the ability to break on the ball and actually make a play.
How do you play the final 40 seconds here, Ray?
I think you go for it. I think you try to move down the field if you're LSU.
They'll run. Brosette. And that'll move the chains. It'll momentarily stop the clock. 33 seconds to go.
You know, they only have about maybe 35 yards to go before they get into Cole Tracy's range.
You're right. Feeding Brosette again. Bouncing off tacklers across the 35. 20 seconds to go, and LSU will use its second timeout. And that's the luxury now of Cole Tracy. Changes how you manage these situations, doesn't it?
Yeah, I mean, he hit 62-yarder in warmups. You can get it to around the 45 and give him a shot. You know, that's a heck of a weapon if you have it to use. But will they try it? Maybe they will at the end of the half.
Roddy, when we talked to Ed Ogeron, the moment we brought up Cole Tracy's name, he lit up with a smile as wide as the Gulf of Mexico.
I don't think I've ever seen a coach react that way to a kicker. I mean, usually it's a necessary evil, but it seemed like Ed Ogeron wanted to go give Cole Tracy a hug when we mentioned his name. He just talked about the fact that it's so comforting when you have a guy who's reliable and can hit from distance, and I think you're seeing that in the play calling. There's no doubt that he's in the ear of his coordinator saying, hey guys, just a couple more yards and we're in range.
2nd and 3, LSU, 1 timeout left. Three-man rush. Burrow downfield, Morrow wide open at the 40. Clock stops with 13 seconds to go.
And this is just a blown coverage. You see at the top, they put Morrow out wide as a wide receiver, in the corner there said, no, that guy's too big. I can't cover him. He went for the slot guy, and nobody was on Morrow.
Burrow flushed and wisely throws it away. 5 seconds on the clock. From here, you're looking at about a 57-yarder. Do you run another play with a timeout? Something quick to the sideline.
That would be dicey. You might be able to do it, but I don't think you kick a field goal from this range right here, right now.
5 seconds. LSU has a timeout.
And Southeastern's giving them room. Those corners are off. So if they do want to try to get a 5-yard quick out, they have an opportunity.
Burrow. He's going to have to chuck it downfield. He will. End zone, is it caught? Touchdown! 6'6", Stephon Sullivan.
This is a classic Hail Mary, and Sullivan goes up higher than everybody else. High points to football. Even though there's 4, 5, 6 guys around him, nobody else had the chance. And how about Joe Burrow? He hummed that ball over 60 yards.
They've got some tall wideouts. Sullivan, D. Anderson. That jump ball, it's not really a 50-50 ball with these guys.
Nah, that's at least 70-30, I would think.
So a little bit of an offensive malaise in that second quarter, but LSU ends the first half with a thunderous exclamation point.
That will give them a jolt going into the locker room, and it'll crush the spirits of Southeastern.
Down to Roddy.
Coach, what an end to the half. What is that long drive capped off on the Hail Mary? What does that do for your offense?
Yeah, give us a boost. Great clock management by Steve Minnesmega. Hail Mary, great throw, great catch. But we still have some protection problems. We got to go in and fix it. A little sluggish on offense the first half. We got to come back and play 60 minutes of football.
With the targeting penalty, you're down 3 of your starting linebackers. How does that change what you do?
Yeah, Michael Mastersfield's going to have to play. Patrick Green's going to have to play. Next man up.
Thanks, Coach.
Go Tigers.
LSU's defense pitches a shutout. The offense goes 96 yards, and it ends with a Hail Mary touchdown to close half number 1. Halftime report with Chris Cotter and company after these messages. To this song.
No, you don't.
Watch me.
All right, let's hear it. 850 IS.
There you go. Kid, watch your step. You might fall trying to do what I did. Mama, in the middle of the club with a rubber dub. No love for the haters. The haters mad because I got floor seat. All right, let me stop.
Right now, I'm looking for Coach Selfo, who doesn't look like he's out here.
Another one?
Do you love me? Are you riding?
Somebody's rolling on. From Baton Rouge, Louisiana, it's the SEC on ESPN. LSU with a 24-0 lead as we begin the third quarter here in Death Valley. And Southeastern Louisiana will take it out at the 25-yard line. In the first half, LSU's defense came as advertised, and the offense had its moments.
Yeah, this defense, 4 sacks already, and only allowed 37 yards on 31 plays in the first half, and the offense got cooking. And the more I watch Nick Brossette, the more impressed I am. You saw him stick the foot in the ground after breaking a tackle, and then how about this play at the end of the half? Stephon Sullivan, 6'7", goes up above the rim to take it down and give LSU a 24-0 lead.
And that's our Corona premier moment. Lorenzo Nunez on first down, and we get a penalty marker. 2 men in motion for Southeastern Louisiana.
False start. Offense number 24, 5-yard penalty, first down.
Let's check in with Roddy Jones.
Guys, I had a chance to talk with Southeastern Louisiana head coach Frank Selfo, and he was just about pulling his hair out at all the mistakes that his team made. He can understand getting beat on a play, but misalignments, penalties, really frustrated him in that first half. But he said in the second quarter they cleaned a lot of that stuff up, and that's the reason they were able to have success. And on the LSU side, I'll be interested to see, can they take advantage of the momentum of completing that Hail Mary at the end and get back to the way that they were performing in the first quarter.
Roddy Jones down on the field, and Anish Shroff, Ray Bentley upstairs as Devin White had Nunez in his embrace. Chase and Virgil now in at quarterback. Transfer from Fresno State. Virgil as an open receiver, Jawan Petit-Ferrer.
Finally, they got the ball to him down the field. The protection was what was the key to it, to allow this route to develop. Just a corner route, and Petit-Ferrer runs away from the coverage. Look at the separation he had from Delpit. That's an excellent route, great execution. Maybe Coach Selfo will end up with a little hair left.
The way his last name is spelled, it's French, translates to little brother. There's little brother on the swing pass, taken down at midfield. Terrence Alexander, grad transfer from Stanford, on the stop. Remember, LSU saw Jacob Phillips at starting Mike linebacker get ejected for targeting in the first half. So they're without Phillips, without linebacker Kaylavon Chason, who's out for the season, without Michael Divinity, injured today. And remember, Tyler Taylor is still suspended. Down 4 linebackers right now as we get another penalty.
Yeah, the tight end, Branson Schwabel, got a little
False start.
top heavy in his stance.
Offense number 88, 5-yard penalty, second down.
Roddy, if you go back and look at that first half, Southeastern Louisiana had its chances, as you see the missing linebackers for LSU here in the second half. But Roddy, Southeastern gave up a touchdown on a short field off a turnover, gave up another touchdown on a Hail Mary at the end of the half. Take that away, it's a 10-0 game.
You're exactly right, and I think that confidence should really power Southeastern Louisiana in this second half. But Frank Suffalo said something interesting to me as well at halftime. He said, honestly, those mistakes, that's the environment. That's these guys looking at that LSU on the side of their helmet across the line of scrimmage and getting a little antsy. That's them looking up in the stands and seeing the big stadium of Death Valley and not remembering the fundamentals. And we see in the second half it bites them again, because now you go from second and manageable to second and long and now third and long.
Yeah, and that's the third time they've had a false start penalty.
Virgil on the run. Incomplete.
Yeah, he threw that one away. There was really no chance, as Niger Jackson was trying to get away from Christian Fulton, and Fulton had glove coverage.
Fulton, reinstated last month by the NCAA, did not play last year while serving a suspension for tampering with a drug test. It was originally a 2-year suspension. LSU had appealed. It was first denied, and then the NCAA reversed it. Fourth down now for Southeastern Louisiana. Ivy Wall to punt it away. Another line drive kick. Takes a Lions bounce inside the 15 and downed at the 12-yard line. That's where LSU will take over with a 24-0 lead when we come back. LSU told us it would be running back by committee, but that committee has a chairman right now.
Yeah, and that's Nick Brosette. 84 yards on 14 carries, 6 yards a tote. He's just been outstanding. And the more I watch this kid, the more I like him. He just doesn't make mistakes, doesn't take false steps, sets up his runs beautifully. Very good in pass protection. I like him. I like him a lot. Not flashy, but steady as it gets.
As smooth as rice into gravy. Here is Brosette on first down. Searching for some running room, and he's to the 15-yard line, a gain of 3.
Roddy, is there someone Brosette reminds you of?
You and I were talking about this during the break. He's got a little bit of Emmitt Smith to his game. He's a meat and potatoes kind of back, and that last run was a perfect example. You press to the outside as far as you can, and then when there's nothing more there, you put your foot in the ground and cut it up. He's not a guy that's going to shake and bake and do a lot of dancing. He's a no-nonsense runner, and I'm like you, Ray. I really like him.
Yeah, I kind of got Herschel Walker in my mind, just the way he runs, not necessarily the explosiveness, but the body style. Here he goes.
Into Southeastern territory, and Brosette over the century mark for the second straight game.
And he got some good work up front on this one. And this offensive line, down 3 starters, they open up a nice big hole for him. A couple guys pulling around. He hits the crease. He got a block downfield, and Brosette hit the gas pedal.
But even with all that great blocking, he does a great job of setting it up.
He does.
When you're a running back and you press the line of scrimmage, and that means you get as close to the line of scrimmage as you can before making that cut to the hole, it sucks those linebackers in and makes it so much easier for the offensive lineman, and that's how big plays really happen.
Edwards-Helaire will spell Brosette. First down and 10 from the 42 of Southeastern Louisiana. Clyde Edwards-Helaire has some running room.
It's coming back.
There is a flag back at the line of scrimmage.
Pretty sure it's going to be on the right guard, Damian Lewis. That's the first time Helaire got loose. And watching him, I was impressed. Even though he didn't have big numbers against Miami, I thought he made some nice 2- and 3-yard runs where they should have been losses.
Personal foul, chop block, offense number 68 and 79. 15-yard penalty, remains first down.
You got two numbers out of that because one guy was high, the other one low, and that is an illegal block. The right side of your line, you got a cut right there. Well, I don't like that call. I thought that the first lineman had already left and was disengaged. That's iffy to me. But the cut is on its way out of the game of football. They restrict it every year. Eventually, there will be no low blocking. All about player safety.
Edwards-Helaire for a short gain. Sophomore from right here in Baton Rouge. Went to the same high school Catholic as Darius Geis and spent 2 years backing up Geis in high school and then followed Geis to Death Valley.
Yeah, they really like him in terms of his future. They also have a couple of freshmen, Tay Provins and Chris Curry, that they are very high on.
Now we saw Curry early against Miami. We saw Leonard Fournette, the younger brother of Leonard. Burrow to the air. Hit as he throws it.
And that's Adam A. Berglund again getting pressure. He beat the right tackle just around the edge. Burrow stepped up in the pocket, but it wasn't enough to get away, and I think that ball's going forward, an incomplete pass.
Yeah, ruled incomplete.
Yeah, he just worked right past Traore. And again, three backup offensive linemen for this team, including Traore at that right tackle spot. And they're matching Adam A. Berglund on him on purpose. They got him down there again.
So 3rd and long, and let's see if the Lions dial up a blitz. There comes the pressure. Burrow can't get away and thrown down at the 45. Got a yard, but it sets up 4th down. So LSU will have to punt it away.
This was my favorite play when I played. It's called the crossfire. You see the two inside linebackers crossing and both of them firing, and then a nice reaction by Russell to come off that block and make the play.
Tamarcus Russell had 20 tackles in the Week 1 loss to Louisiana Monroe. 24 tackles all year. This is a defense that has lost all but 3 starters from last year.
They're playing a lot better this week than they did last week.
They were coming after the punter. And the fair catch made by Williams just inside the 20, a 39-yard punt. And Southeastern will take over, down 24-zip.
ESPN College Football, brought to you by Progressive Insurance, handing off big savings to you. And Mazda, feel alive.
That's the Louisiana Sea Grant Oyster Hatchery down in Grand Isle. It's the largest oyster research lab in the Gulf of Mexico, and the facility focuses on how environmental, societal, and man-made factors impact the ecosystem.
I did some man-made
translate for you, right?
Yes.
Yeah. You had a first-hand experience with the oysters a couple of nights ago.
I definitely impacted them, and they impacted me.
Lorenzo Nunez, the do-it-all quarterback, running back, receiver, takes it out of bounds. Took a big hit by Grady Williams. Lost a couple of yards. Southeastern Louisiana negative rushing yards in this game.
And they pull 2 people to try to get out in front of Nunez. He's too fast, and they get picked off. He ends up there, a lone wolf on the edge, and took a hit, and so did a bunch of other people.
Nunez began his career at South Carolina. Started 2 games there at quarterback as a freshman. Then they moved him to wide receiver, so he transferred and was the starting quarterback for Southeastern Louisiana last year. Jason Virgil has an open receiver. That's Williams. And he's taken down at the 41-yard line, a gain of 25. Virgil, as we told you at the top of the broadcast, big-time recruit coming out of high school, once committed to Mississippi State.
You give him time, he'll throw a dime. And that was, he split a couple of linebackers, got it in front of the safety. The timing was perfect.
Hand off to Devontae Williams, nicknamed the Matrix in high school, for a gain of 3. You look at this offense, Roddy. Left tackle, former Georgia Bulldog. Devontae Williams from Indiana. Nunez, South Carolina. Virgil, Fresno State. movement on the left side of that line. It looked like Gooch.
And it was. And that's another one of those.
False start. Offense 74. 5-yard penalty. Second down.
Shoot yourself in the foot type penalties. I mean, that's the 6th time tonight that they've had a pre-snap penalty, and those are killers because it puts you behind the chains. It kills your momentum. It kind of kills your attitude. It makes other guys on the team mad at you. I mean, it's just not good, and they're totally avoidable.
And you mentioned all the talent that's on this offensive team with the FBS transfers. I mean, the penalties totally nullify all that stuff.
Jackson able to hang on, and that sets up a 3rd down and about 4. Now, you're right, Roddy. The mental mistakes crippling Southeastern Louisiana as there is an injured player.
It's Fulton.
It's Christian Fulton. We saw a number of DBs get banged up in that Miami game. LSU down 4 linebackers right now. Health is such a determining factor through the course of a season, and we know the SEC, all sorts of depth, but it's being tested defensively for LSU right now.
You know, they're missing some guys on that offensive line as well, and Thaddeus Moss, a tight end, number 2 tight end, not in this ball game. I think a lot of those were cautionary. They're going to make sure they can get as many of those guys back next week when it gets real down there in Auburn.
Ed Ogeron talked to us this week about being focused, not overlooking an opponent. They know what happened with the Troy game last year, and they were very honest about it. They didn't feel like they took Troy seriously enough, and Troy was an 11-win team last year and ends up coming here and winning.
Hit him in the mouth.
Defensively, Ray, they've looked the part tonight. They've done what you would expect against an FCS school.
Yeah, they pitched a shutout. They held them to 37 yards in the first half. The defense is doing its part. The offense, they had 2 short fields where they hit the touchdowns. They had a Hail Mary and a field goal and stumbled around against a defense that didn't look great coming into this game. Now, I think they vastly improved from week 1 to week 2. But it makes you wonder about this offense, and that's going to be the question mark for this LSU team.
Yeah, they seem to get some momentum against Miami. There were a lot of positive signs the way they could run the ball and dominate the line of scrimmage. It was physical, it was tough, but we've seen this in the past. Win values change throughout the course of the season as Fulton walks off the field. A win that may look really good early in the season may not always hold up, and Ed Ogeron told us that. He goes, well, we got to wait to see what happens with Miami to find out how big of a win that was.
It's way too early to speculate, but man, is it fun.
Well, it's week to week. That's what we do, right?
Yes.
We'd be out of a job if we didn't. Schwabel is going to be short. And it's 4th and 1, and the offense is staying out on the field.
Absolutely.
Got to, right?
Yeah, you don't even consider a punt here. You're almost in plus territory, basically right at midfield. And when you're fighting like they are now, you roll the dice on this play.
-1 rushing yards for Southeastern. Virgil will hand it off. Darren Johnson able to pick up a 1st down at the 46 of LSU. And that will move the chains.
That was a really nice cut by Johnson. I don't know if you got to see that one, Roddy, but that's what you call putting your foot in the ground and seeing it.
Well, it was a great job of the offensive line of totally washing down everything on that right side, so he had a cutback lane.
Back to the ground at Johnson. And he is taken to the ground by Micah Baskerville, the freshman.
Southeastern's got a little momentum. I can see an uptick in their body language. They're still in this thing, they think.
And guys, we haven't seen any gadget plays yet today. You know Southeastern's got him in the bag. When do they pull him out?
This is a good time.
Johnson again. Denied by Rashard Lawrence after a short gain. We were watching film yesterday, and Ray, you commented on how quickly number 90 gets off the line.
Yeah, he's faster than everybody else on the field, getting off the line no matter who they got out there. It's a quick twitch type of muscle situation where he sees it and he goes fast and he goes hard. Those kind of things, and I know Coach Orgeron spends a lot of time with the defensive line. If you can get upfield and get penetration, you blow up a lot of plays before they get started.
Virgil finding Devontae Williams. This will be close.
Nice little rub route. The two outside receivers crossed, and that's what created the room for Johnson.
It will bring up another 4th down and short. And once again, the Lions will go for it. Virgil under center.
Sneak.
He'll try to sneak it.
That's ill-advised.
I don't think he got it.
LSU knew it was coming. We knew it was coming. And they put 3 huge bodies, one on the nose, 2 more in the A-gap, and there was no push.
A defensive stand by Dave Aranda's LSU Tiger D. A 4th down stop. And the Lions stopped in their tracks. That's a pretty good setup you got there, Chris.
I'm jealous.
Joe Burrow on the run. Completes to Jamar Chase, who has a touchdown catch today for a gain of 3.
That's a great job of Chase making himself available. He pressed it upfield. He saw his quarterback was struggling. He came back to him and showed him his number. Burrow found it and hit him right there on the 1.
Ray, what's your assessment of LSU's offense tonight?
I think uneven is the best word for it. It's been spotty. It's not what they wanted. I can promise you that.
Here's the pressure. And Brosette felled at the 40. What's missing with this offense?
Explosive plays. I mean, their biggest explosive play was a Hail Mary. And you got to be able to gash teams, especially when you're playing the level of competition they are right now. But I don't want to take any credit away from Southeastern. I think they're playing their guts out, and they're blitzing their guts out. They brought 6 on that last play, and Walker did a nice job catching it from behind. They've only taken 3 deep shots, and they've hit 1, and that was that Hail Mary.
Sullivan right before the half ended. Again, Lions showing pressure. Xavier Lewis, the former Tiger, on the corner blitz. Chase bobbles it, drops it. Covered by Lynch. And it's 4th down. Southeastern Louisiana will get it back. And LSU has not scored in this 3rd quarter.
And Dijon Lynch was very impressive on film, and he continues to impress tonight. He got the hands around and was able to knock it out before Jamar Chase could put it away. And this is... I mean, a lot of people have left here. They thought 24-0 at half. Hitting the Hail Mary would have been good for them. Right now, it's kind of quiet in this place.
You know, we heard LSU would try to get Miles Brennan, their backup quarterback, in. This is the type of game you can build depth by playing younger guys. There's a great punt. Pins Southeastern at the 1-yard line. But it's not quite that far out of hand where LSU's been able to roll out a ton of guys. 24-0 here in the 3rd. Lions pinned deep.
The ESPN app now with ESPN Plus. Get more ESPN and download now.
Anish Shroff, Ray Bentley, Roddy Jones with you. Southeastern Louisiana will begin at its own 1-yard line. And Roddy, normally this means a ton of noise for the opponent. A lot of the fans have filtered out.
Yeah, a lot of them have gotten out of there, but they'll get real excited if their Tigers can get a safety here.
Virgil gets rid of it quickly. Petit Ferrer taken down immediately by Fulton.
I think that was a great play call by Greg Stevens. even though you're on your own 1 yard line, you know LSU is ganging up for the run, so you throw a quick out and give yourself some breathing room.
And there is a flag.
Personal foul, face mask, defense number 9, 15-yard penalty from the end of the run, automatic first down.
And that gets him out of trouble with some breathing room now to spare as Delpit got his hand up in the face mask.
And you guys mentioned the crowd. This crowd kind of had the wave going, but it was half-hearted. They look bored, honestly. They're almost begging for something to cheer about. The offense really hasn't gotten anything going, and it's kind of been 3 and outs on both sides. This crowd is begging for LSU to make a play.
LSU crowding the box. And very little running room that time for Williams, maybe 2. Well, Roddy, can you blame them? We haven't seen any offense here in this third quarter, and outside of that Hail Mary to end the first half, really LSU has been quiet offensively since midway through the first quarter.
And honestly, there haven't been any of those momentum-changing plays from the defense either. They've been steady getting Southeastern Louisiana off the field, but you haven't had the turnover. You haven't had a big punt return. There haven't been those things that really get the crowd riled up, so no, I can't blame them at all.
Virgil has Turner with a nice move, a first down and more. C.J. Turner, the redshirt freshman who had 5 catches last week, gets a first down to the 40.
And Grant Delpit did not wrap up. And too often I see that in today's game where guys will come up, throw a shoulder on somebody and think that gets it done. Gotta wrap your arms around them or that will happen to you. Guys like C.J. Turner will just bust past you.
Turner comes out of the game after the helmet came off, so he's got to go for 1 play. Speed option. Johnson out of bounds after a pickup of 1. Well, you go back to Sunday against Miami. Only 6 points after halftime for LSU.
And that was a point of emphasis for him this week. One of the keys Coach Ogeron gave us was, hey, we got to finish strong.
Yep.
And not quite to the finish part yet, but second half is what he was referring to because that's where they took some lumps last week.
And you do wonder, the human element. You come off a big win against what was a top 10 Miami team. You've got Auburn next weekend.
I never believed in that stuff, but then it happened to me many times.
Neil Farrell gets the 5th sack for this LSU defense. Speak to it, Ray.
Well, they had a great matchup because he's working on Darren Johnson, number 24. The back is coming over there to try and pick him up. It's what you call a mismatch. Johnson just tried to throw at him, and he bounced off the thigh pad of Farrell, who's a big 295-pounder.
Second sack for Farrell. 3rd and 17. Virgil over the middle looking for Schwabel, who's able to hang on, and it's going to set up a 4th and about 3.
Go for it. I believe they will, and they might just let the clock run out on the 3rd quarter. They can do that and don't have to snap the ball, and then they can think a little bit harder about the decision and then what play do you call.
Dave Aranda's defense has pitched a shutout. Frank Selfo calls his team to the sideline. It'll be 4th and 2 for Southeastern Louisiana. Neither team scored in that 3rd quarter. LSU will take a 24-0 lead to the final 15 minutes of regulation. You're watching the SEC on ESPN. The start of quarter number 4, LSU leading Southeastern Louisiana 24-0. Second meeting all time between these two. And now let's take a look at this week's AP Top 10 rankings brought to you by Chick-fil-A. Alabama sitting at number 1. They demolished Arkansas State earlier today. Clemson on the road with a 2-touchdown lead against A&M. And Georgia, the early clubhouse leader in the SEC East, with a big win against South Carolina.
The only one who really struggled on that list, Notre Dame, got all they wanted from Ball State.
4th down for Southeastern. And the Lions with a first down and more. Darren Johnson, the 5th-year senior, with a gain of 15.
Great play call. Greg Stevens had him in the mix on this one. And this is a play that's been really good to him, but they ran it towards the blitz. And that means Devin White had the coverage, but he was inside at the linebacker position. He had a long way to go. You're not going to make that play.
LSU bringing the blitz. Virgil gets away, throws downfield, looking for Turner. He fell down, and it's incomplete, covered by Greedy Williams, the preseason All-American, who had 6 interceptions last year and is the next great cornerback coming out of Baton Rouge.
And the other guy that gets a lot of touting is number 40, Devin White. He shoots through, and this is the second week in a row where he had the quarterback dead to rights and wasn't able to bring it in. I think he's got to break it down a little bit rather than dive at that guy, because those quarterbacks can move.
Lorenzo Nunez now in at quarterback. He'll look to throw off the hands of Schwabel. Not sure he would have been in bounds. Third down, we check in with Chris. All right, thank you, Chris. Third down and 10. Southeastern. Virgil on the slant. Jackson changing direction and taken down by Alexander, well shy of the marker. And this is undoubtedly 4-down territory. And let's see what Greg Stevens draws up this time.
Tatum, their kicker, this is clearly out of his range, so they're going to have to go for it.
Tatum 1 for 3 last week, and his potential game-tying attempt at the buzzer blocked.
And he kind of kicked it out low. It wasn't like somebody made a great play to block it. They just jumped up.
Delpit on the safety blitz. Screen pass. Williams has the first down and takes it inside the 25. Best scoring chance of the evening for the Lions.
And another great call by Greg Stevens. He goes with the throwback screen. They've been moving the pocket, so they roll her to the right, throw it back. You got a couple of linemen out front. You get a nice block from Gooch, and you move the chains. That's good stuff.
Handoff Williams into the teeth of that Tiger defense. No gain.
Andre Anthony is one of the backup outside linebackers, actually plays that quarter position. He's in the linebacker spot now, makes the play. And we talked about the depth situation at LSU, and they are rolling guys through pretty much every other play through this series.
Down 4 linebackers. Nunez back in at quarterback. Hands it off to Williams. And Williams taken down at the 21 by Fulton. Third down and about 7.
Roddy, when you see a team, this is the 14th play of this drive. When you're driving on them, you see them sucking for wind. You want the football, do you not?
Absolutely. The feeling that you get when you're keeping a team on the field, you feel that momentum. It's a lot easier for those offensive linemen to continue to lean on these defensive linemen than it is for them to continue to get off the ball. And I like the play calling here. They're playing for 4 downs every time.
Virgil. Intercepted. Greedy Williams.
LSU only brought 3. They dropped 8. Great coverage across the board. Virgil forced it in, and Greedy took it away. He got greedy, didn't he?
Next Saturday on ABC at Jerry World, Ohio State and TCU. Dwayne Haskins off to a strong start for the Buckeyes. 9 TD passes in 2 games, 20 of 23 today. And he beat out, amongst others, the LSU quarterback Joe Burrow, who transferred from Ohio State to LSU to compete for a chance to start. And he is starting his 2nd straight game as Nick Brossette stopped at the line of scrimmage. And Roddy and Ray and I had a chance to spend some time with Joe yesterday. Great sense of humor. He was telling us about
the cultural differences coming to LSU. He said, it's a sin to eat healthy down here. He said, I ordered a salad and didn't hear the end of it.
Right, and he said if he ate like the local fare, he'd be 245 in no time. Currently only 215.
But he has embraced all things Cajun. Rose set again, and he tornadoes his way to the 13. I thought it was interesting when he talked to us about his approach. Coming as a grad transfer, he arrived after spring ball, and he said his mantra was, I'm going to come in, put my head down. He didn't say very much. LSU did not allow the media to talk to him until after his first start. And he started becoming more vocal once he became the guy. And in a very short time, he's become a leader on this team.
And that was a designed approach, intentional. That's how he wanted to come in and get things rolling. And, you know, the first practice they had, they brought him in for conditioning, and he won every single sprint, and that gets people's attention right away. You're like, okay, this cat's serious. I love the way he did it, and I think, you know, he grew up basically in the Ohio University program. His father is the defensive coordinator there. He told us in his sophomore year in high school, the Ohio U strength coach was his personal trainer. He was immersed in it. He said the biggest thing he took away from it was what it took to play at that level, and I think that really helped him as he went along.
LSU will punt it away. Williams from the 36. Couple of nice moves. The Indiana transfer zigzags his way near midfield, and maybe one broken tackle away from turning that into a much longer return.
Threw a high
Score
step
still
in
remains 24-0 LSU.
ESPN College Football, brought to you by AT&T. More for your thing. That's our thing.
Mike the Tiger through the years. We're on Mike 7, who debuted last year as LSU's mascot, and dinner last night was Lion. This is the norm here for the Tigers. Depending on the opponent, they lay out the food like the opposing mascot usually, and tell the tape. Lions or Tigers? Brain size advantage Tiger. Lions a little faster. Lions are pack animals. That snap goes over the head of Nunez, able to recover. Ball did not hit the ground, and Nunez turns this into positive yards.
And that's why they like him and are excited about him and think he has a shot to do something at the next level because of his athleticism, his versatility, and primarily his attitude. He will do whatever it takes to help the football team. That's what he told Frank Selfo when they brought in Virgil to take the quarterback spot. And you can see the way this kid plays. He's just hungry. Might be more hungry than Mike was.
Lions like to eat too.
Another one.
And Schwabel jumped.
7 times pre-snap penalties now, and that will drive Frank Selfo
False
batty.
start. Offense number 88. 5-yard penalty. First down.
You know what's unique about this matchup? Lions and Tigers don't often encounter each other in the wild. The Gir National Forest in India is the only place where the territories of the two species overlap.
Other than this field tonight, right?
Lions and Tigers.
Oh my.
Nunez picks up a couple as we check in with the studio and Chris. Well, Chris gave us all the big cats. Nittany Lions, Panthers, Wildcats. Petit Ferrer with the catch, and he is going to be very close to a first down. He appears to have it. Depends on the spot. The initial spot gave it to him. Now it looks like they moved it back a yard.
This is a big time throw. You're going from the far hash all the way to the edge on the other side. That is a very nice throw. Great timing on the route. Chason Virgil has been nothing but impressive.
On third down, Virgil hands it off. And Williams devoured by Neil Farrell, who's had a nice game on that defensive line for the Tigers. Fourth down.
This LSU defense has been able to rise up throughout the day and make plays when they had to. That Greedy Williams interception was huge, thwarted the previous drive. And now they got another shot here to get it turned over on downs.
Neither team has scored in the second half. Nunez will keep it. First down and more. Lorenzo Nunez into the red zone for Southeastern Louisiana.
Great read on the option by Nunez, and he sold it by taking it all the way to the edge, forced LSU to overcommit, hit him with the cutback as everyone was thinking pitch because they've pitched it several times already in that deal.
Johnson now to the 10. I tell you what, Southeastern Louisiana has shown extremely well tonight. I know the scoreboard tells one story. They're going to come out of this game feeling really good about going into conference play. The way they've held LSU's offense in check in this second half, I thought their defense has made some plays.
Vastly
Their offense
improved.
hasn't scored, but they've been able to move the ball on what's probably going to be one of the best defenses in the country.
In particular, in the second half, they've got 188 yards. LSU just 60.
Nunez, incomplete, nearly intercepted.
And Baskerville thought he had one, couldn't get it in the basket.
Now his nickname has got to be the Hound.
You think?
Plays his best games in the fog. Third down and 5. Nunez, Southland Conference Player of the Year, now lined up at wide receiver. Virgil to Johnson out of the backfield. And brought down from behind by Thornton. And another fourth down coming up. And Southeastern will go for it. 4 for 5 on fourth down tonight.
Yeah, I don't think Frank Selfo's looking for moral victories and getting a 0 off the scoreboard. He's trying to push this thing as far as he can, and they want 6 points.
Jariah Tolbert coming into the game. 5 wide receiver look, and this could be a quarterback draw even with Virgil in there.
He's got an empty box. And it was there.
Improvising. And he's able to pick up the first down inside the 5.
One of the things I said earlier about Virgil is street ball. That's his game. When it breaks down, that's when he becomes a really big threat. And no more of a perfect example than that play right there.
Guys, when these Southeastern Louisiana players have had an opportunity in one-on-ones, I've been impressed. I mean, you've seen it with Virgil, Nunez, Johnson, Williams. All of them have made guys miss in the open field and made plays. Let's see if they can punch it in.
Nunez now at quarterback.
An unbalanced line here.
Handoff Johnson. Stood up. And he got a yard by falling forward. 2nd and goal.
Justin Thomas made a great play. He had his head on the inside of the blocker, saw the back break outside, quickly flipped it to the outside and stuffed the play.
Low snap. Nunez picks up the ground ball. And he's taken down after a short gain. Stevens and Farrell were there. 3rd and goal.
And that's the backup center, Drew Jones, in the ball game, and he rolled it right back.
Another injured Tiger. And that looks like Neil Farrell, who's got a couple of sacks today. He's been in the backfield creating some havoc.
Yeah, and that would be a huge loss for this football team. He played.
We'll step aside. 4:06 to go in regulation. Sports Center tonight on ESPN after Michigan State and Arizona State. Clemson and A&M highlights reaction from College Station. What does the Tigers' quarterback situation look like after week 2? Plus, Naomi Osaka wins the U.S. Open Women's Final against Serena Williams, but that's not what everybody's talking about. Tune into Sports Center after the game. On 3rd and goal, a snap over the head of Nunez, picked up by LSU. Jacoby Stevens tripped up almost 6.
Great hustle play by Nunez to track him down, but since they put Drew Jones in at center, they've had a roller snap, and this one high and hard. Great effort.
Nunez saved a touchdown with the diving tackle. But instead of 3rd and goal or a 4th and goal for Southeastern Louisiana, LSU now has it inside the 20-yard line of the Lions.
Defense came up big again.
Couple of red zone stops, interception by Greedy Williams last time out. Edwards-Helaire pounding up the middle. That was only the 12th play run by LSU in this half.
That's going to be under some scrutiny.
Here's the thing. LSU was arguably the darling of college football after week 1. And rightly so. Big top 10 win, national audience, everybody watching. You knock off Miami. Looked really impressive doing it. What's the story after this game?
Fans aren't going to be happy. Even though you're 2-0 and you're heading to Auburn with a great opportunity, they'll find something to be upset about. And there's plenty, actually.
Edwards-Helaire works his way to the 10, 3rd and short. Roddy, if you're watching this game like we are, if you're Tiger Nation, how do you walk away from this game? Because the scoreboard may tell a different story than what we've actually seen tonight.
I think you walk away feeling uneasy, especially about this team on offense.
Yeah, it's been a pedestrian performance, particularly here in the second half.
Helaire moves the chains.
You know, and there was a lot of talk about Joe Burrow's stat line last week. The fact that he got him in the right play, kind of bought him some good faith, goodwill from the fans, and honestly from the media too. But I think it's everybody on this offense. Obviously, it's not one guy, but a lot of the uneasiness is going to fall on the quarterback's shoulders because he hasn't exactly looked like a world beater today.
Now, it has been a conservative game plan in the second half, but we've seen Southeastern move the ball on the LSU defense a few times. Helaire, Clyde Edwards-Helaire into the end zone for 6 more, and that makes it 30-0 Tigers.
Good blocking on the right side. Creates a little bit of a seam, and then Edwards-Helaire, he shows a little power running through a tackle at the end to get that end zone.
First career touchdown for Clyde Edwards-Helaire. PAT by Tracy is good. Sudden change. Southeastern turns it over inside the LSU 5. The Tigers punch it in with Edwards-Helaire. This season, for every field goal and extra point made by participating universities, All-State will make a contribution to the university's general scholarship fund. Thank you, All-State. LSU with a 31-0 lead on Southeastern Louisiana. Second meeting between these two. The last one took place in 1949. Tigers won that game 48-7. Monday Night Football is back. Regular season, the game counts. Week 1, we've got a doubleheader. It's the Lions and the Jets. The Sam Darnold era begins for Gang Green, and then John Gruden back on Monday night, but on the sidelines for the Raiders as Oakland takes on Todd Gurley and the Rams.
I grew up a Lions fan, so I know what it is to suffer one playoff win in my entire lifetime. But I'm excited to see how the Matt Patricia experiment will work. They went through a very tough training camp, which I think is a good sign.
Detroit and New York, that is a lot of suffering between those two fan bases.
Right?
The Jets, not the Giants. For LSU, next week, a big test against Auburn. And Ed Orgeron's message this week was to focus on the opponent, not get caught up in what happened against Miami, not look ahead to Auburn. The message was start fast, finish strong, and they've limped to the finish line now 2 weeks in a row.
Yeah, this whole second half has been just pedestrian. That's the word that keeps popping into my head. It's not what I expected. You know, you said they played in 49 and it was 48-7. That's kind of what we thought might happen around here.
Against an FCS school, you have the big talent edge. Meanwhile, for Southeastern Louisiana, Frank Selfo told us this is an opportunity to get your program in some national spotlight, but also this is the best form of scouting. Southeastern gains far more from this than LSU because now you're going up against premier talent. You know exactly how teams are going to play you, who they respect, who they don't respect. And he said that's the best form of scouting going forward, because if your guys can compete against these guys,
right,
you know you have something in league play in the Southland Conference.
Yeah, he said, you know, we have certain thoughts about guys, but we don't know if that's valid. But you will find out for sure against this caliber of an opponent.
On third down, a lot of shake by Nunez. Moves the chains, has some space. Nunez finally taken down at the 42-yard line of LSU.
They need to find more ways to get the ball in Nunez's hands. I'm not saying put him in for Virgil, but at least get his hands on the football a dozen times or more a game.
Ray, on the LSU side, you know, having been a former coach, when you get a win but it was sloppy, is it almost better for teaching when you have a little bit of that scare?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, that's when you can still revel in a win, but yet you got to get after him for every little mistake. They'll coach him harder this week than they did last week, I promise you.
LSU wins it 31-zip. We've now seen the Tigers 2 weeks in a row. What have we learned about LSU before they go to Auburn?
I'm not drinking the Kool-Aid, is what I learned.
Final score in Death Valley, 31-zip, Tigers over Lions.